Hello everyone, I hope you guys are doing great and learning a lot in this course. In this section, we are gonna start Google AppScript. In my opinion, which is the main reason to prefer Google Spreadsheet. Google AppScript is a cloud-based JavaScript platform that let us work with our favorite Google products as in Gmail, Spreadsheet, and Google Form. So if you know any programming language and JavaScript in particular, you are in for a treat. And if you do not, don't worry, I will walk you through the basic part and eventually to an extent where you will be able to write codes to power up your spreadsheet mastery. Having said so, we are obviously gonna keep things relevant to a spreadsheet rather making it a programming course. So without further intro, let's get into it. So in this lesson, let's open a brand new spreadsheet and let's give it a name. Let's call it iframe AppScript tutorial version 1. And if you want to use Google AppScript or integrate Google AppScript with this spreadsheet, you need to go to the extension menu over here, and from the drop down you have to choose AppScript, and by clicking on this you will be able to open a browser based code editor. And we can see in this code editor, in the left hand side there is a sidebar where the options are files, code.js, libraries and services. So as I have already said that I am not going to make this a programming course, rather I am going to be more relevant to our knowledge about implementing AppScript. I am not going to dive deeper with all the options, rather I am going to demonstrate how we can be able to use Google AppScript in association with Google Spreadsheet effectively and power up our spreadsheet journey. So here we can see one option is for the libraries, another one is for the services. So if we simply click on the add a service here or the add a service option here, we can see that there are a bunch of available services that we can take advantage from. And just to mention a few, we can see that the available services are like Admin SDK API, AdSense Management API, BigQuery API, Drive API, Gmail API, Google Analytics API, so on and so forth. So what we need to do here, we need to find the Google Spreadsheet API or Google Sheets API and let's add this service. So now we will be able to write the custom functions that we are going to need to work with Google AppScript. And let's give this project a name and let's call it iframe tutorial version 1. And right here in this code editor, we will be able to write several custom functions. And the purpose of the function in AppScript is almost similar to the purpose of the functions that we have been using in spreadsheet. So in JavaScript or in classical JavaScript, the way we write function is at first we need a keyword which is called the function. So the first thing is the word function. I am assuming that you guys don't have any prior experience to coding. So the first thing we need is the keyword which is function. That is like telling the code editor that this guy is trying to write a function. And right after that we need to write the name of the function, and I would like to suggest you to use camel case pattern to write the name of the function. So let's say I want to write a function here that would change the name of the active sheet, or it could change the name of a particular sheet. So let's call the function by the name change sheet. So just like so, and after that we have to put a pair of bracket, and the instructions for this particular function will go in between these two curly brackets. So first thing that we have to declare a variable. And what is a variable? Variable is a data type or a type of data that can be varied or that can be changed. So why would you like to have a data type that can change itself? The reason is we are going to put several things at several stages of our code to this data type. So for that we need to announce that data type to be variable, to mention that it can change itself. So at first let's create a variable called sheet. And after that, the first thing that we need to write is the AppScript is the Google Sheet app, which is like the object over here. So if you don't know what is an object, just simply know that the first thing we know here is to write the word spreadsheet app. So here we can see that there is a suggestive list right here from where we can pick our desired spreadsheet app, and on top of this class we can invoke several built-in methods. And the way we invoke several built-in methods is right after a point or a dot we are going to suffix that we are going to add up or amend those methods. As for example, we want to get the active spreadsheet, and after that from that active spreadsheet we want to get the active sheet. So there are two tasks, one after another and in a chronological order. That's why the first thing we need to write dot, and the method which is going under this class is get active spreadsheet. And on top of that, let's invoke get active sheet. So no semicolon is needed here. So what is happening here is we are going to get the active spreadsheet, and from the active spreadsheet we are going to get the active sheet, just like so. And there are several other methods, as for example get sheet by name or get sheet by ID, etc, etc. So what we are going to do here, we are just getting the active sheet. So get active sheet. So now we have put this active sheet over here in the variable sheet. So to bring about some changes in this sheet, we can simply invoke several methods which are available in Google Spreadsheet upon this variable sheet. So let's say we want to get the name of the sheet and we want to display that name. So for that, let's write sheet, and the method we are going to invoke upon sheet here is, let's say, get name. And after getting name from that sheet, let's put it in a variable and let's call it name. So if we simply console log this name, and save this file and select our desired function change sheet from this drop down over here, and if we run this, hopefully we will be able to see that the name of the sheet would appear in this execution log. So after that there will be a prompt asking for permission to access your data. So let's click on the review permission, and as you are the one who is writing this code in AppScript, certainly you can believe yourself. So from the advanced menu option, let's allow the authorization and let's click allow. And now I think this is all good and execution is started. And here we can see that we have got the name of the sheet, which is sheet 1. So this has been our very first lines of AppScript's code. In the next lesson, we are going to set the name of that spreadsheet and set the tab color of that spreadsheet. Hello everyone. In this lecture, let's write another function that would enable us to change the name of the sheet over here. So let's say that we want to change the name of the sheet from sheet 1 to something obvious, let's say new sheet, so that we can easily understand if our code is working fine or not. So for that, let's write the function at first, and once again the first thing to write a function is the keyword function followed by the name of the function, and this time let's call the function change name, so in camel case, followed by a pair of brackets and after that a pair of curly brackets, and inside the curly brackets we are going to write our code, or in other words we are going to put the instruction. So this is actually the building block or the crude state of any function, that is also we can say the skeleton of any function. At first the keyword function followed by the name and a pair of bracket, after that a pair of curly bracket, and inside we are going to put our instruction or code. So as the first thing, let's put this sheet in a variable called sheet. So just like before, but this time we are not gonna get active sheet, rather I am going to grab this sheet by this name sheet 1 and put this in a variable called sheet. So let's write the variable sheet, so var as the data type, and sheet is equal to the first thing we need to write here is spreadsheet app, and the method that we are going to call of the spreadsheet app is get active spreadsheet. And if we put a dot right after here, we will be able to see a list of methods, and they will help us or enable us do certain thing over this particular sheet. So this time we are going to get this sheet by the name of this sheet, which is sheet 1. So let's write get sheet by name, and in a pair of brackets as the argument, let's pass in the name of this sheet, which is sheet 1. So let's write sheet 1, and just like so we have been able to grab this sheet and put it in a variable called sheet. So next we are going to invoke several functions to do things over this sheet right here. So the first thing we want to do is we want to change the name from sheet 1 to new sheet. So for that, the method we need here is set name, which is pretty much self-explanatory, but if you are really interested in AppScript, I would suggest you to go over their official documentation and read carefully to learn all the available methods that AppScript offer. So let's set name, and here as the argument that we can see, as the argument we have to pass in our target name of that sheet. So let's say we want to change the name of the sheet from sheet 1 to new sheet. Something really obvious. So let's save this, and in the drop down let's pick the function that we want to run for now. So change name and click run, and come over here. Voila, we have successfully changed the name of the sheet from sheet 1 to new sheet. So this is the power of AppScript. That is, you can create an app or a piece of software, if you want to put it more simpler terms, a piece of software that would work automatically or programmatically, rather going over the particular sheet and doing things manually on your own. So as the next thing, let's say I want to change the color of this tab. So for that, once again, at first let's call the sheet, and as the method let's use set color or set tab color. So we have got here set tab color, and as the argument we can pass in the name of the color, or we can say the target color. Also we can pass the hex value of that color. So let's say I want to set the tab color to red. So in a quotation let's write red. Save this and run, and keep your eyes over here so that if something happens we can see. So here we have got ourselves an error which was very much intentional, because we have to understand something, that is, here as the definition of the variable sheet we put the sheet which is called sheet 1. So here the variable sheet is referencing a sheet which is called sheet 1, and after that we have changed its name. So right now when we call this variable, it will simply return a null value, because this variable is referencing a sheet of the name sheet 1, but there is no more sheet of this name. So this time this variable is returning an error. We can now get past it by simply calling the active sheet rather than the variable sheet over here. So we can call once again the spreadsheet app, and then we can call the get active sheet, and after that we can call the set tab color over here. So let's save it, let's run, and let's keep your eyes over here. So once again we have encountered another error which was also intentional, because whenever we run a function it starts working from the beginning. So this time this function change name has started working from this line, that is, it put the sheet if available by the name sheet 1 in this variable, but right now there is no such sheet called sheet 1. So the first line here is giving us an error. So for now, what we can do, we can comment out this instruction, and to put a comment in AppScript, that means in JavaScript, we use two backticks like this, and whatever we write after that are taken to be comments, and comments are like instructions for us or reminder for us that would explain later our intention of writing any code line or code block. So we can put comment just like so. And another important application of comments is we can simply comment out any instruction or any code line so that it cannot be executed. So just like so. So now these two lines of code are not going to be executed. Only executable code line here is this one. So let's run this, and obviously you will be able to see that the color here has changed to red. Let's change it from red to blue. Once again, run, keep your eyes over here, and voila, we have successfully been able to change the color of the tab. Hello everyone, how is it going? In this lesson, we are going to learn how we can get the reference of any cell of a sheet by using Google AppScript, and thereby we will be able to change the background color, set value, and get the value from the cell. So for that, let's write another function over here. So function, and let's call the function set value in camel case pattern, and this is a skeleton of this function set value. So as the first thing, we want to get the active sheet, and for that let's copy this code over here and let's paste it right here. So now we have been able to get this sheet or the active sheet in this variable sheet. So let's say we want to refer this cell right here, that is the cell B6, and for that we need to use a specific method which is called getRange. And as the argument, we have to pass the row number and column number. So here this B6 is in the 6th row and in the 2nd column. So here we have to write 6, 2. So now we can keep this range in another variable, and let's call this variable cell number. So let's save and let's pick the function here set value. So now let's see if we have been able to get the range of the cell in this variable, and to check that, the best way is to do the console log. So console.log, and here we are going to log this cell number variable just like so. And now if we go ahead and run this function in the execution log, hopefully we will be able to see that these are the available function to apply on this cell or on this cell number. So let's write here B6, and let's see if we are able to get the value in the cell B6. So for that, the method we are gonna use is getValue, and let's run, and keep your eye on the execution log. Hopefully we are going to see that this is outputting B6, that is the value in the cell B6. So just like so, we can get value of a particular cell and get this as the output. So let's make it more meaningful. Let's call it cell value. Also make this cell value. We should be sincere while naming our variables and functions so that they are meaningful, rather later wondering which one is doing what. So for that, we have changed the name of the variable, and also as we are getting value here, let's change the name of the function to get value. Now save, and now that's all good. So what's next? Next, we are going to change the value in the cell B6 using AppScript. So for that, I am going to copy the entire function. I am going to paste it and change the name to set value. And now we are going to get the range of the cell B6, and this time we are going to set value rather than getting the value. So to set the value, we have to pass the value as the argument to the method set value. So here let's write something obvious, new value. Save, pick the function from the drop down over here, so set value, and let's run and let's come over here. Yeah, we can see that real time the value in the cell B6 has changed to new value. Also we can do one more thing, we can set the background color of the cell. So once again, copy the function, and here let's rename the function set cell background color, BG for background color. So sheet get range, that is getting the range of the cell, and this time the method we are going to invoke on that cell is set background, and this method will simply change the background color to something that we would like. So for that, I want to set the background color to be black. So let's save here. Let's pick the function over here and let's run, and let's come over here, and we can see that the background of the cell has changed to black. Also we can set the font color, and let's set the font color to white. So sheet let's get the reference of the cell, that is get range, and this is in the 6th row and the 2nd column, and here we are going to set font color to white. Save it and let's run and come over here. We can see that the font color has also been changed to white. So that's how we can manipulate the background color and the font color. That means pretty much we will be able to handle the formatting using Google AppScript. In this lesson, we are going to learn how we can get the reference of a group of cells or a range of cells rather than a single cell and put value in each of the cells. So let's come over here and let's create another function, and let's call it set multiple values. just like so. And the first thing here, we need to get the active sheet. So there is no reason to reinvent the wheel. Simply copy the code instruction. And we can simply right click and choose format document, and this way we can see that the code blocks have been formatted. So in the next line we have to get the range and keep this in a variable called range. And for that we need to invoke relevant method on the variable sheet. So sheet dot, and here our method will be get range, the same one we used before. But how this method gets a range of cells, for that at first we have to, just like before, put the reference of the cell in terms of row number and column number of the first cell of the entire range of cells. That is, the first argument will be here b10, and for b10 the row number is 10 and the column number is 2. After that we have to put the offset value. So what is offset value? Offset value is including the first cell. This is very important for you to remember. We have to include the first cell, and after that we have to pass in the number of rows that we want to go below and the number of columns that we want to go to the right. So starting from this cell we want to go to 1, 2, 3, that is 3 rows below b10. So taking b10 into account, there will be 4 rows. So the third argument here will be 4, comma, and starting from this cell we want to go to 2 columns right, that is taking this cell into account we have to move to 3 columns right. So let's put in 3. So this is our range. And as the next thing, we want to grab this range, and for the range at first let's say we want to set the font family. And maybe if you have been carefully following this course, you are already familiar with my favorite font, which is Oswald. So let's write here. So save this and get this function in the drop down and run this and come over here. We can see that out of this range of cells, the font is the default one, which is the Arial one, but in this area the font has been changed to Oswald. So just like so, we can put high in each of these cells, and for that we have to, you guess it right, we have to use the method set value on top of range. So range dot set value, and as the argument we have to pass in the value that we want to put in every cell in the range. So save it and run, come over here, and voila, we have been able to set high in every cells in our range of cells, just like so. So that's how we can manipulate a range of cells and put value and also get value from the range of cells. So we are doing really great. So one more thing here is we can clear up the values from this range. So let's copy this function over here and let's call this clear cells. And for that, we are getting the range, but rather setting font family or set value. Here we are going to set clear the contents. So this time our function will be clear content, just like so. So save this, select this function in the drop down just like that, and run this function and come over here. Voila, that is the range of cells are now empty. So let's head back and once again select the function set multiple values, run this, come over here, and once again get back, select the function clear cells, run this, and nothing in here. Hello everyone, in this section we are going to learn how we can hook up a script, that is the functions we have been writing by far, to a drawing shape. As for example, we can draw some UI things, like we can draw button and we can hook up a function to this button. So let's get into it. So the first thing is, let's see how we can draw shapes in Google Sheet. So for that we have to go to insert, and here we have to select drawing, and this is our drawing board, and let's select a text field and let's write here say hi, just like so, and set the background color to black and set the font color. Where is the font color? Before that, let's make it also bold, and let's set the font color to white. We have to select this, and after that white. Now this is looking great. Also let's increase the font size. So this is our button, and whenever we click on this button, we want to set hi in every cells of the range of cells. So let's do it, save and close, and here we can see that we got our button right here. And now if we simply go ahead and right click on it, right here there will be 4 available options, and they are edit, delete, assign script, and alternating text. So now we want to assign a script to this drawing shape or to this button. So let's choose assign script and come over here. We want to set multiple values. That is, you want to hook up or assign this function to this button. So let's pass it, we set multiple values, and let's click OK. So now if we go ahead and left click on it, we can see that the script is running and we have successfully been able to put hi in each of the cells of this range. So let's create another button over here to delete this particular field. So once again, let's click on insert and let's pick drawing. So once again, another text box. So let's write clear, and obviously my favorite font Oswald, and button color red, and I think black font color is doing right. So save and close. This is our clear button, and this time we can see that the options will be available if we click over these 3 dots. In this button it was tough to see these 3 dots because the background here is black also, but if we go ahead and right click on it, we can see that these 3 dots are showing up, and if we go ahead and click on this, we can get assign script. And this time we want to hook the function clear cells to this button. So okay, And if we go ahead and right click on it, so script function could not be found. So go ahead and okay. And alright, this time this is working fine. So whenever we click on this range gets filled with high, and whenever we click on this field gets cleared. So using this technique, that is assigning function or script to the drawing shapes, we can create light applications that would meet our particular needs. And in my opinion, this is actually a very powerful and advanced feature of Google Sheet. So let's take a quick pause right here, and in the next section we are going to see how we can create a custom functions using Google AppScript. Hello everyone. I hope you guys have been enjoying this course and have learned a lot about Google AppScript. In this lesson, we are going to create a custom function with Google AppScript, and we will be able to use that custom function just the way we have been using the built-in functions. So for that, let's go over the code editor. And about the process of creating the custom functions, all we need to do is we need to create a function just as the way we have been doing so far, and this function will be available as the custom function to use. So for this lesson, the custom function that we are going to create is going to find the bigger number of the two values or two numbers that are passed as the arguments to the function. So here our goal is to create a function that would simplify our task of selecting the bigger number of a pair of numbers. So let's get to it. The first thing we need to write here is function, and let's call the function bigger 1. So just like so, done with the skeleton of the function right here. So now, as unlike the previous functions, in this function we are going to make our function able to take in arguments. So the way we put arguments, you guys are already familiar with this. We put arguments in this pair of brackets. So let's write here argument 1 and argument 2 separated by commas. That has been the case for the built-in functions. So let's write that is argument 1 and argument 2, and here we are going to write a conditional statement, and that is obviously the if-else function. So if that argument 1 is greater than argument 2 that has been provided to the function, we need to return argument 1, and else we are going to return argument 2. So this is actually the syntax of writing if-else statement in JavaScript. So if you guys are familiar with programming, this is nothing new to you, but if you are not familiar with programming language, this is how we implement if-else statement or conditional statement in JavaScript. That means whenever writing any function in AppScript, this is the way of writing the conditional statement. So let's save this and let's find the function over here, bigger 1, and let's run this to see if there is any kind of error. So we have got an error here because this should be argument2 or arg2, because arg is not anything defined here. So let's save again and let's run, and let's see if there is any kind of error. So no error. That means we should be able to use this function in the spreadsheet. So let's check equal sign bigger one, and let's say we want to find the bigger number between the numbers 7 and 13. And we will be able to see loading here, and voila, this is returning 13. That means our function is working well. Here we can put a list of number pairs, that is just like any built-in function. We should be able to invoke our custom function on this pair of numbers. So as usual, let's write equal sign, and as the first argument, let's put in the reference of the cell containing 5, and separating by a comma, let's put the reference here, and loading, we should be able to see 7 is the bigger one. So just like so, we can grab this corner and copy this formula over to these cells, and we should be able to see that now this is returning the bigger one of the pair of numbers. So this has been the way of creating custom functions. But up to this point, you should notice something, that we are writing the function bigger one, but unlike the built-in function, no documentation is popping up this time. About the autocomplete, Google Sheets supports autocomplete for custom functions, much like for built-in functions. As you type a function name in a cell, you will see a list of built-in and custom functions that matches what you enter. So for that, here we have to put multi-line comments, and in these comments, let's say we are going to define our custom function, and what it does, it returns the bigger number. We can write add custom function here, and also we can mention the parameter and return value. So to mention the parameters, we need to write add param, and let's say, and after that as return. So after writing this, we should be able to see our custom function in the pop-up list. So let's save it, and let's head on over to the cell once again, and now this time let's write equal sign bigger one. So now we can see that our custom function has appeared in a pop-up list, and this is saying that return the bigger number. So this is how we can create functions according to our need, and this is obviously a very powerful feature of Google Spreadsheet. In this lesson, we are going to get introduced with simple triggers that Google AppScript offers to automate our tasks. So what are the simple triggers? Simple triggers are a set of reserved functions built into AppScript, and here we can see a list of triggers. So the first one here, I think I should zoom the browser over here. So the first one is onOpen, which is a event triggers. That means it runs when a user opens a spreadsheet, a document, presentation or form that the user has permission to edit. After that, we have onInstall, which is another event trigger that runs when a user installs an editor add-on from within Google Docs, Sheets, Slides, or Forms. There is also onEdit, which runs when a user changes a value in a spreadsheet. And onSelectionChange runs when a user changes the selection in a spreadsheet. After that, there is doGet, runs when a user visits a web page or a program sends an HTTP GET request to a web app. So this should sound little weird if you are not familiar with any kind of backend language or technology, but to handle our day-to-day tasks with Google Spreadsheet, this is not going to be something of that much important, so we can skip on this. And also there is doPost, which runs when a program sends an HTTP post request to a web app. So let's head on over to the spreadsheet and let's see if we can run a simple trigger. So here let's have a simple demonstration of a simple trigger, and for that let's have a demonstration on how onEdit function works. So according to the documentation, onEdit triggers when we make some sort of addition to the spreadsheet. So let's see how we can use this function. So as usual, let's write at first function, and here the name of the trigger is onEdit. So what we are going to do here is whenever we write something in a cell of that spreadsheet, we want to change the background color to something else, maybe red. So for that, at first we have to call the spreadsheet app, and we need to get the active sheet, and after that we need to get the active cell, the order of calling the methods are very much self-explanatory, because the first thing should be the class spreadsheet app, and after that we need to get the active sheet, and after that we need to get the active cell. So whenever we make some sort of edit to the spreadsheet or to the sheet, we are going to get the active cell and we are going to set the background color to red. So let's save it and let's run this function. No error. So let's head on over to the spreadsheet and let's make a change here. Let's write change, and we can see that whenever we make some change in any cell in the spreadsheet, the background color automatically change to red. And in this way we can figure out if any of the cells has been changed. So triggers are really important, and even more they are really useful, and we can automate several tasks using these triggers. Hello guys, you have learned enough of the fundamentals of the Google AppScript. In this lesson, we are gonna test our knowledge by building a project which is good enough to use in our day-to-day life. In this lesson, we are gonna develop an email app where we will be able to add a contact consisting of email and name just by clicking a button. And likewise, we'll be able to send email over to the contacts. So here we go. Here I already have dealt with some of the formatting over here. So the name of the spreadsheet is email app, and we are going to have two sheets, namely the email and the main list. Here the idea is we can simply go ahead and write the name and the email of the contact, and there is going to be a button by clicking which we should be able to import the name and the email of that contact over to this sheet, and they are going to added or append in the list. And there is gonna be another button by clicking which we should be able to send a particular email over to these persons. So let's get started. The first thing we need to do here is we need to select extension, and here we are going to select AppScript, and here we get our browser based code editor for Google AppScript. So okay, got it. We are accepting the cookies here, and let's zoom in. So the first thing we are gonna do here is we are going to select a service, and we are going to select Google Sheets API. Let's add this, and we should be set here. So here let's name the function. Let's call it add contact, and we are going to use the camel case. So here at first we are going to get the sheet by the name email. Alright, so for that let's add a comment here. Let's write getting the sheet email. So let's declare a variable, and let's call it email sheet. So for that, the first thing we need to call here is spreadsheet app. After that, we are gonna get the active spreadsheet. So the way we chain functions is we add a dot, and after this dot we are going to write the name of the method or the function, and here we are gonna get the active spreadsheet. And after that we are gonna get the sheet by the name email just over here. All right, so get sheet by name email. So now let's declare two variables. One is for the email and another is for the name, and we are going to put the name of the contact in the name variable and put the email of the contact in the email variable. So the best practice is at first we should add the comment. So the variable email is gonna get the email sheet at first. So and we are going to get the cell over here which is in D8, that is in the 8th row and the 4th column. That is a cell in the 8th row and the 4th column. So here we are gonna get the range 8 and 4, and after that we are gonna get whatever the value we put in that cell. So we are gonna call or append the method get value, just like so. And let's copy this line one more time, put this here, and let's write here name, and name is in the cell D9, that is in the 9th row and 4th column. So let's change it 9 and 4. So here we are getting the email and the name from these two cells. Well, I think I have made a mistake over here. That is, the name is in D8. Alright, so this one should be the name and this one should be the email. So let's write something here. Let's write here Turjo and let's write here something like this. So let's console log over here to see if we are doing things right so far. So let's save it and let's run. So once again, here we are going to authorize our sheet. So review permission. Let's go to advanced and go to untitled project. So the best way should be give this project a name. Let's call it email app. Rename and let's run it once again. Review permission. Advanced and allow. So we can see here we have put the name and the email in these two variables, in the variables name and email. So now what we are gonna do, we are going to put this name and email in the mail list app so that we can build a contact list over here. So the idea is whatever we write in these two cells, they should come over here and get added to the last row of this list. So let's put some dummy data over here. So as there is already a contact in this list, we want this Turjo and this email to be added in this row, that is in the row B6 and C6. That is in the row 6, occupying the two columns B and C, that is column number 2 and column number 3. And for that, here we are gonna get the last row number of this sheet. That is, in this sheet the last row is row number 5 and we are gonna add the contact in this row, that is in the row number 6. So we are going to get the last row of this sheet and we are gonna append our contact right after that. So let's head on over to our editor and add a comment. Let's write getting the sheet contact list or mail list. So we are gonna declare another variable over here. So let's write var and let's call this variable contact list. So as usual, we have to at first call the spreadsheet app. After that, we are gonna get the active spreadsheet. And after that, we are gonna get the sheet by name. And the name is mail list. And after that, we are gonna get the last row of that sheet. And we are going to put the number of the last row in another variable. Let's call it row. So the comment here will be getting the last row. So the variable is row. And we are going to call the contact list. And we are gonna get the last row. So let's see if this is working. So for that, let's cut the console log and paste it over here. And let's pass in the row as the argument. and save this and let's run this. So we are getting 5. So this is working really well. Alright. Now let's append the contact. And for that, at first we need to call the contact list, which is this variable, and remember we are putting our mail list sheet in this variable. So contact list, and we are invoking the function get range on top of the contact list, and we are gonna get the range which is right after the row. So here the row number will be this row plus 1. Alright, because this is the next row. So row plus 1. And the column is B. So for that, the column will be 2. And we are going to set the value. And the value will be coming from this variable, which is name. So let's write here name. And let's copy this line. There is no reason to reinvent the wheel. And here, as the column is C, which is the third column, we have to change this from 2 to 3. So let's save this and let's run this and let's go over here. So we can see that we have made a blunder over here. That is, we should add email, not the name, in the last row along the column C. So email. So let's delete this. Let's save this function. Let's run. Let's come over here and we should be able to see that whatever we put in this to cell and run the function, they are simply appending to this list, and that is the way of generating a contact list using AppScript. So now we are going to tweak around and make this a little bit more efficient and useful. And for the polishing part, the first thing we want to do here is we want to clear up these two fields, that is the field for the name and the email. Alright, so for that, let's write here clearing up the name and the email field. And for that, let's copy these two lines. Let's get rid of this, and here, instead of getting the values, we are going to clear up this cell and let's clear the cell number 9 and 4 right after running this function. Let's save it. Let's run this and come over here. Now we can see that the name and the email are gone, just like so. And the name and the email are also being appended to this list. So we have found a problem here is that after running the function, it has cleared up the format too, but this is not anything we want. We want to retain the format, and for that we need to use another method which is not clear, obviously, because what clear does is it clears up both the formatting and the text, but we want to retain the format. So for that we need to use the function clear content, and here also clear content. So let's run this once again. Let's come over here and we can see that only the text are getting disappeared this time, and it is still retaining the formatting. So this is another method for us to explore, which is clear content. We have to keep in mind that the method clears up both the formatting and the text where clear content retain the formatting. So this is really useful. And another thing is, after adding a contact, I want to show some pop-up information like alert to appear over here to assure us that our operation of adding a contact is successful. And for that, let's write here success alert, and for that we need to use the function get UI. UI is the short form of user interface, which falls under the class UI, just like so. And the way we call UI is we append the get UI method right after the spreadsheet app, and this way we can set alert or several other things like prompt. We can create menu, we can show modals, we can show sidebar. So for this project, I just want a plain simple alert. Just like that. So let's come over here and at first call the spreadsheet app, and after that get UI, which is over here, and it has to be a method. So after that, let's append alert, and it has to be contact is being added successfully. So let's save it and let's run this time. Now we are getting an alert confirming us that our contact is being added successfully to the list. So let's hit OK and we will be all set. So now let's add a button over here, and for that let's head on over to drawing and let's get a text box, add contact, just like that, and set the gradient color maybe, and change the font. Let's make it Oswald. Let's change the font color and let's put it like so. So save and close, and we get our button over here. So add contact, and let's assign script to this button, and here the function is called add contact. So let's write the name here. OK, and we should be all set. So let's write something in this field. Let's call it Jack, and let's say the name can be, or the email can be jack@xyz.com. Hit this, and the contact has been added successfully. I don't know why this is not like, oh well. So now once again hit enter or click on this button. We are getting this prompt. OK, and they are cleared up and they are being added over here, just like that. So we have successfully developed the project or half of the project, where now we are able to add the contact using AppScript just by clicking this button. And now we are going to develop the project further to extent where we will be send customized email to these emails just by clicking another button. And for that we are going to use the send email. Let's search here send email. So class mail app. So let's see what it offers. It says This service allows user to send email with complete control over the content of the email, unlike Gmail app. Mail app's sole purpose is sending email, and Mail app cannot access a user's Gmail inbox, which is really good. So these are the methods: get remaining daily quota, which is an integer, and it returns the number of remaining emails a user can send to the rest of the day. There is send email, which sends an email message, and there is send email with multiple arguments, and using this method we should be able to set the recipient. We should be able to change the subject and the body, and another one with 4 arguments, and the last one here is the options. So let's click on this, and here we can see that using this 4th option or the 4th argument, we can attach files just like that. So here it says a JavaScript object that specifies advanced parameters as listed below. And the advanced parameters are attachments, a comma separated list of email addresses to BCC. There is CC, HTML body, inline images, name, no reply, reply to, and many things. So I would suggest you to go over this documentation and try things out on your own. But for this project, I am just going to implement a simple method to send email to these email addresses. So let's head on over to the rest of our project. So for that, at first let's get rid of all the contacts over here, and here let's merge these cells, and let's change the border, and let's write here main body. So the main body of the mail is gonna go in here, and let's do the same over here, merge them and change the border, and let's write here subject. So the idea here is, whatever the main body of the mail, we are gonna write this in this cell or the merged cells, and we are gonna write the subject here. And for this part of the project, we are going to learn about the for loop. So this is the website of W3 School. If you are into coding, you should know this. Here it says loops are handy if you want to run the same code over and over again, each time with a different value. Often this is the case when working with arrays. So here it says, rather writing this, and if you don't know, plus and equal to here means that the value of the text will be replaced by the value which we can obtain by adding the element which is at the index number 0 or the first element of the array char to the previous value of the text. So this is actually same as writing text is equal to text plus chars 0. So plus equal to is just like at first add then assign. So we can do this just like so. So here in this first bracket, for takes in 3 things. The first one is the initialization, that is from where we are going to initiate our for loop, and this is the termination, that is kind of saying that until what extent we want our for loop to run, and this is called the increment, and I++ means I equal to I+1. So this is something like a shorthand, and it means we are going to increment the value of I by 1. That is, in the first iteration or in the first step, the value of the I will be 0, and in the second step the value of the I will be 1. because we are incrementing the value of I by 1 by mentioning that I++. And we are going to run this loop until the cars.length is greater than I. And the for loop will run as long as the value of the I will remain smaller than the length of the array cars. So this is how we do it. Alright. So let's come over here and let's write a subject. As for example, let's write this is the subject, and as the main body, let's write hi name. And the idea here is we are going to replace the name by the name of the contact. And let's say the main body is have a nice life. Regards Turjo. So let's come over here and let's create another function here. Let's write here to create the function. Let's write here function. And let's call the function send email. So once again, there's like the skeleton of our function. So at first we are going to get rid of this console log over here. And we are going to get this contact list and get this last row of the contact list for a reason obviously that I am going to explain in a minute. So let's paste here. So let's add two dummy data over here. One is this. Once again, same mistake. Make sure you hit the enter before pressing the button. So now hit the button and this will work simply fine. And what is iframe? iframe is our company that produces courses and free materials on different coding subjects as well as some professional subjects. Make sure you check on our Instagram. So now we have got two data over here. Alright. So what we can do now is we are going to write a for loop over here. And we are going to take one contact item at a time. So let's write the for loop. So the instruction goes here and we are going to start from this row, that is the row number 5. And we will continue until the last row of the list, and it could be anything. And for that we have declared a variable row where we are putting the last row of the list. So we are going to use that. So here we are going to start from 5. So I is equal to 5. That is the initialization. And we are going to continue as long as the value of I is equal to or smaller than the value of the variable row. And we are gonna increment the value of I by 1. That is I equal to I plus 1. So here let's declare another variable. Let's call it what we can call, let's call it email. And we are getting the email of one iteration or one particular step from this cell, that is the content in the column C and the row I, and here I is going to change. So our column will be static here, which is 3, but our I will change from 5 to onwards. So we are going to put the email of the cell 536373 etc. So here we can write this as contact list. We are gonna get range, and the range is the row number is I and the column number is 3, and we are gonna get the value. This is showing an error. I don't know what is it. Oh, alright, that should be semicolon, not comma. So let's copy this line once again for the name. And the name will be in the column B, which is column 2. And here once again the row will be I, which is changing. Alright, so I2. And let's for now console log the email and name that are going to be generated by this for loop in this function. So let's save this and let's run. Let's see what we can get. We forgot to change the function here. So let's once again run and let's see what we can get. See, we can get the email and we can get the name, just like so. After that, we are going to get the message body and the subject. And for the message body, we are gonna need this email sheet over here. So let's copy this line, paste it right here, call the email list sheet, and we need to get the range. Let's see, we need to get the range B17. Alright, that is 17th row and the second column. And after that, we are going to get the value. And we are going to replace the name by the name we got here. Alright. And this time let's console log the body. Well, that should be capital N, not a small n. So we can see that we have generated two different message body in each iteration of the for loop by replacing the name. So in this way, using this replace function, we can generate customized mail for each contact of the contact list. So just like so, let's grab the subject. And these should be the variable as well, which is in the cell F17, right? That is the 17th row and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, sixth column. And we are going to get the value just like this. So to make sure that we are not going to run into any kind of error, let's console log the subject. Run this and we should be able to see the subject in the console log. Oh, that should be 17.6. So we can see in every iteration we are able to bring the subject. So now it is time to use the email app. So mail app, and the method should be the send email method. And this is going to take in 3 arguments. Actually, it can take in up to 4 arguments, including the options, as I have already explained. But here we are going to put 3 arguments. The first one is for the email or to the person who is gonna get the mail. The second one is for the subject, and the third one is for the body, which also can be HTML. All right. So let's write here. email at first, subject at the second place, and the body at the third place. So let's save this and let's run. Of which I am really proud of. So we can go over here and we can see that the delivery has failed because these are not valid email. Alright, so this time we are going to put some valid emails and we are going to see our project in full action. But before that, let's add another button over here to send email. So can we copy this? I don't think so. So let's open the drawing item once again. And let's assign the script. And here the function is send email. So let's write here this. So add a valid name over here. And before that, let's get rid of the console log and add a valid email this time. Add this to the contact. We are successful. And if we send the mail, we should be able to come over here and we should be able to see that in our sent items that we are successful to send the email which is saying hi Turjo. Actually this is my personal mail. So let's head on over to my personal mail and let's see if the transaction is successful or not. And once again the mail sending has failed for these two contacts as these are not any valid email. So let's come over here and let's see what we can find. We can find that we have got the mail. So that's all for now. Here in this project, we have been able to develop a really good and useful application that we can use ourselves in our day-to-day life. And in the process, we have learned the best practices and important ideas about Google AppScripts. So thanks for watching. I'm gonna see off. Thank you and goodbye.